You are watching Access LaPorte County Channel 97. Coming up next is the November 20th meeting of the Michigan City Board of Aviation Commissioners. You can find more information for this meeting at www.accesslaportecounty.org.
Reports financial November 2024.
All right, so account balances. As you see, we have some accounts which we talk about every month that have negative balances in them. These line items, I'm going to make minor transfers to the accounts to make sure that they are positive before the end of the year. So I'm assuming I'll do that actually by our next board meeting, so they should all be positive. These are all minor transfers, so that's just within each little group of set of accounts. We don't have to make any major transfers that need any council approval or anything like that. And all of our accounts are sitting really well. Our budget's sitting good. We've spent 74.96% of our budget so far this year. And aviation fuel, we've spent 60.97% of that. So everything's looking good for budget.
All right, thank you. Airport manager.
Oh, the fuel sales. Okay.
Oh, sorry, yeah, that's one I was, yeah, go ahead.
Fuel sales. Overall, we sold 1,649.4 gallons of 100 low lead, 3,361 gallons of Jet A, and 217.9 gallons of Swift fuel in October. We are currently up 7% in gallons sold year to date from last year.
Nice.
Our current fuel price is $5.34 for self-service avgas, $5.49 for full-service avgas, $4.24 for self and full-service Jet A, and $6.75 for self-service UL 94. I did just order a half load of avgas as well, which is going to keep our price the same, and it'll be here on Friday.
Excellent.
How's Knox handling?
I know, they're crazy down there.
Get in the way. All right. Airport manager.
Sure. The only thing I have for airport manager is our New Holland bidirectional tractor. It's just ready for its annual maintenance. We do it every year. New Holland Rochester is going to come up and they are going to change oil filters, grease fittings, things like that. We do have a small leak on one of our hydraulic lines that they're also going to repair while they're here. I am waiting on an estimate for the broom wafers and the plow blade, you know, for the tractor, for the brush and the plow. So I'm going to order those either this year out of our budget if I get the estimate and invoice in time for our next board meeting, or else it's going to have to wait until January, but I hope not, just in case we get some early snow.
Well, we have enough money to encumber that for.
I won't be able to encumber. If I need to, it would have to come out of next year's budget. So I'm really hoping to get it this year before.
Okay.
All right. Anything else, Jess?
No, that's all I have.
Thank you so much. Airport development.
Well, the big task for this meeting is to approve your CIP for submission and also your grant pre-application or applications. That's due by December 1st, and so we need to take some action on that. We did have a CIP meeting on Monday with FAA, and it was not the rosy picture that we hope because of inflation, you know. So the FAA still wants to do the project, NDOT still wants to do the project, but because of the inflationary costs that are hitting everybody right now, it is definitely more challenging. So they put a kind of push back on us to reevaluate the approach a little bit, see if we could spread it out, possibly reorganize the project. If the board recalls, back when we went through some of the early stuff, in an ideal situation, we built a full parallel taxiway with the project. So our recommendation right now, given you know our inflationary pressure, is that we separate out the parallel taxiway, go back just to a 5,000-foot runway extension, which will solve your runway protection zone issues that you have with US 20 right now. And then once we do that, we'll circle back in the next cycle with the parallel taxiway. It's not that we, are never going to do it, but we just need to try to parse up the project in a little bit more bite-sized pieces so that the FA can cash flow it easier. They also suggested that it might be good to see if we can't find some additional partners. So that's certainly something that we'll start working on. Not that we haven't. We've developed the marketing plan. We've been asking folks as well. So that's where we're at. Certainly, certainly not a slam dunk. Still a challenge, but so we just need to kind of adjust and refocus our attention on just the runway. So I revised your CIP to take out all the costs associated with the parallel taxiway, and then I pushed the runway overlay portion out to 2030. Before, we had it crunched all up to try to get it done basically here. Okay. By 2029. Now we're stretching it out all the way to 2030 to try to spread out that cash flow a little bit. So the front side actually has some build project and type 2 funding projects on there. So the totals on that look a little higher than what the runway is. If you just flip it over, the backside is just the runway only. We were with the parallel taxiway and the associated grading with parallel taxiway. The bottom number on just the runway, the total cost right there at $27 million for all the years, all added up. That's what the total is. Prior to removing the taxiway, we were up close to $39 million. So this is
39? What is it?
Yeah, this was the previous version that you don't have. I can get here's the previous version that had. That was
Okay.
and. So we had the full parallel taxiway, which was almost $7 million in 2030 is basically what was in there. And then the other phases, like priority number 6, was reduced like 1.7 million, and priority 8 was reduced almost 3 million. Because of taking out the grading that goes towards the taxiway. Mm-hmm. So from an operations standpoint, it will require some back taxing back to basically that midfield connector until we get the taxiway done. But it will give you 5,000 foot operational. We'll put a turnaround at the end, and given the flight frequency here, I think it's a reasonable thing.
And they back taxi now. Our parallel taxiway does not go all the way to the end now.
Yeah.
And there should be a problem with our larger aircraft then, because all of our small general aviation, they take off from this system as it is, so it should be no problem. Okay, good. So huge significant reduction, so that's good.
Yeah, I think it makes it more palatable from a cash flow standpoint. Now, the FAA was the one that asked us to put the parallel taxiway in the beginning. So they won't be real happy with it, but at the same time, it's one of those deals where you can't do everything all at once. And since they have concern over the price tag, I think it's reasonable that from our end, we break it up into smaller, more fundable.
So when these guys are asking for partners, are they talking about financial or supportive partners?
Both. But they pointed out some other projects in the state that had maybe some private money that would contribute. Now, most of those are when the private money actually helps pay your local share. It rarely is one that reduces the FAA share. Not that I suppose you could reduce the FAA share, but make no mistake, the legislation is for a 90% federal participation under normal years, and for the next 2 years, it's up to 95%. And so for 25-26, the current legislation has the FAA participating at 95%. So it's really kind of unreasonable for the FAA to ask you to reduce the percentage, because that's effectively what they're asking you to do, is say, hey, can you kick in some more money, which means they're actually changing the percentage share that they're obligated to do by the legislature. So we don't really want to go down that path that much, although if we can find some other funding sources, we want to get the project done.
Right.
So if it makes it easier, if there is a raise grant from Federal Highway or something, we could put some of the money in. Maybe there's a Port Authority grant because it's, got rail and air access to it. We'll certainly consider all those options. I think too, if you'll recall back, we got our environmental approved in 2020. And at that point in time, the project was significantly less. I believe it was about $22 million at that time. So the cost has gone up because of inflation, no doubt about that. But at that time, the FAA had several large projects at the primary airports that they needed to fund, and there were several major runway projects at GA airports in front of Michigan City. So while they can never commit to funding beyond the fiscal year that they're in, we all plan and we program. So we were basically given the impression that once those other projects were complete, we would be up for the project. And so now it's our turn to build this runway. And so I think they still want to give us our turn, but we got to try to get the project, it's not their fault that inflation hit either. So we got to try to get the project to a more cash flowable position. So that's kind of where we're at with that. So if we can find some other partners, I think, over the last 4 years, we have not really spent a lot of time talking, directly to political, our legislators, trying to get funding that way, because we try to work within the system.
And they wanted us to wait our turns.
And wait our turns. But now that it's become clear that we're going to have to claw and scratch for every penny in the project, we're gonna pursue every means at our disposal, which means talking to your legislators and anybody who will listen, because it's really frustrating to have a project that's all justified, all the RPZ study done, the environmental's done, all that planning is done, and all you need is money. It's extremely frustrating when it just comes down to writing a check, and so that's where we gotta get it back on. But it's a real problem, and we'll do the best we can. So.
Thanks, Paul. So we need request a motion to submit the fiscal year 2025 grant pre-application to improve runway 2. That's with the documents and the partial reimbursement.
Yeah, well, so if you all agree with this CIP approach, kind of the stripped down version without the parallel taxiway, I think I'd like a motion on that first, so that kind of sets the guide rails.
Motion for the 2025 to 2030 CIP, right?
Yeah, let's do that real quick, just because that's gonna, for the pre-application, we'll go ahead and talk about the pre-application real quick, so you can make that motion in order of your agenda. But so the pre-application, when we were at the FAA, there was some concern that they don't want to begin if we can't get to a place where we can cash flow. So we've got a program now that we believe they can cash flow. So I think we can continue on with our request, which was to finish out all the final tracings. If you remember, we've already done a lot of the road design, and we just have to do the final design, coordinate all that with NDOT, and actually advertise it for bids to get the bids in hand. So that's what that next phase was going to do, because in '26, previous to this meeting, NDOT was showing $6.2 million in 2026 for the temporary road and the utility relocation agreements.
I move we submit the fiscal year 2025 grant pre-application, approved runway 2, RSA-RPZ extension, design, and EA Part D, US 20 temporary road and storm sewer final tracings and letting documents, partial reimbursement.
Is there a second?
A second.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. All right, now this is for the CIP that we just, or that Paul just
Yeah.
discussed. Is there a motion to approve and submit the CIP for 2025, 2030 with the parallel taxiway being removed at this time for a later date?
I make that motion to accept that 2025, 2030 CIP.
Is there a
I
second?
second.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you for approving the CIP for 2025 to 2030. Runway crack sealing and surface coat project update.
Yep, I'd like to introduce Dave Pixie. Dave Pixie is the BFS construction inspector. He'll be heading up the project here, boots on the ground guy for the springtime.
Excellent.
So we will do that in the springtime because they couldn't get subs all organized this fall. So, but Dave lives up here. He lives in Elkhart, and not too bad of a commute over for him.
Better than Indy.
That's right. And so he wanted to come over and say hi and meet you all and see the airport. So
Thank you.
outside of that, we're just waiting on good weather.
So with that, I'd like to request a motion to submit the AIP 29 partial pay request number 1 state catch-up in the amount of $1,701.86.
I move we submit the AIP 29 partial pay request number 1, state catch-up in the amount of $1,701.86.
Is there a second? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. Fuel farm?
Yeah, so the item eligibility request is in, initial responses, it's not 30 years old, so that's an issue, so they
Oh,
request.
they did send that back?
They requested some additional information on any extraordinary circumstances.
Oh,
that
good.
might be.
I'll send that right in.
Okay, so,
Just off the top of your head, how far are we on that?
We're at least 25, 26 years, I think.
it was 2000, so we're 24 years, we're 6
Okay.
years away.
Okay.
According
I
to
think it was 1999.
1999, okay, 25.
Okay.
So 25, 5 years away.
Jesus.
So then in 2025, it'll be 4 years away. We're getting closer.
Okay.
4 years away. So they do actually say on their form 30 years, so without extenuating so if we can submit something, and I know that item has some inspections, and we've had a lot of maintenance expense based off of the sumps and so
Is there
forth.
anything that would help encourage the new fuel farm basing that we're doing the runway extension and things are gonna be torn up or anything like that? Is there anything to help it out, or no, that's just a separate issue? Because we're gonna stay.
I think it'll help just our water table height and things like that. So we can submit stuff on that. Just like water table around the tanks. We've had to repair the piping sumps and all that stuff. To get them out of water and everything. So
That's good.
those are my extenuating circumstances.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Super extenuating circumstances.
All right. Thank you.
Embellish it a little bit.
Anything else?
And that's pretty much everything at this time.
Thank you, Paul.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Old business, nothing on there. New business, agreement for the exchange of real estate. This was in regards to that parcel of land that was discovered and put out for open bid for adjacent property owners to the airport. Bill's here with us today. Bill, would you like to give a quick summary and update on?
Yeah, but just by way of a brief summary, the airport owns 2 sliver parcels of real estate outside the fenced area that individually have no use or value and really can't be utilized because of their small size. A couple months ago, pursuant to statute, this board took action to approve the disposal of that property and under the statute under a highest and best use to an adjoining property owner. After the board took that action, I then proceeded with the steps necessary to dispose of the property pursuant to that statute, and we provided notice as required under that statute. RL Roofing actually is the business that occupies the real estate that adjoins those parcels, owned by Richard and Tamberlane Leslie that run that business. They got their notice under the statute. They responded with an interest. It turns out that they have real estate that also borders 20 that turns out would be useful for the airport in the runway extension project eventually when it occurs, as far as various utilities that will go through that area. The statute authorizes the transfer of property under a sale or exchange, so we looked into that. I worked with Randall Nick at BFNS, a surveyor there, who provided a legal description of a parcel that the Leslies were willing to offer back to the airport. And so the document in front of you now for approval today, actually Kirk has the one copy. I've got 3 of them. If you take action, I'll call 3 signed.
Yeah, I read it.
Yeah. So this would permit now the disposal of the 2 parcels, the small slivers, so assessed value. I think one was around 2,000, the other was 5,000. Again, useless property to the airport, but can be exchanged now for some property, also small, but understandably, you're giving up small, you're getting small.
Yeah.
But the property the airport's going to get is far more useful when the runway extension project occurs. So the way this would work is if you approve it today, the Leslies will then sign. They've seen this agreement and approved it. They will sign. It'll be then submitted to Meridian Title Insurance. We'll set a closing date. There'll be no exchange of funds at all. The only money that the airport will have to lay out will be a very small amount to obtain a title insurance policy. I always recommend you insure any property you receive. I anticipate closing this thing before the end of the year, and this thing will be done.
Okay.
But the first step would be for the board to then follow up on its previous authorization to dispose of the property, and now authorize the execution of this agreement that will actually allow that to take place.
Excellent, thank you.
So the consideration of $10 is,
Yeah, that's, deeds always say that. Sometimes they say $1. But yeah, the consideration, it's that and other valuable consideration is what deeds always say. It's standard language in the deed. This deed is no different than any other deed. If you were to individually purchase property, you would see a deed that is very similar.
Well, I'd request a motion for the agreement for exchange of real estate between Michigan City Airport and R&L Roofing.
Actually, Richard and Tamberlane Leslie.
Okay.
I move that we approve the agreement for exchange of real estate between the Board of Aviation Commissioners of Michigan City Airport and Richard and Tamberlane Leslie.
Is there a second? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carries. Thank you. New business.
Can I have one
number.
of those packets too? Bill?
Packet.
Yeah, is that just the agenda? Okay, I just want to make sure that I have one with me.
Yeah,
You want him to
I'm
sign?
planning to leave one with you today.
Oh, you are? Oh, okay,
I'm
good.
gonna leave one with you. I'm gonna take 2 with me.
Okay, so then you
Yeah,
can
we'll
get
get
that
them
ready
all-
for
yeah.
signature.
We'll get
Okay,
after the meeting, I'll have President Bartlett sign one.
perfect.
Item number 2 that was added on earlier to the agenda, this is the hangar A5-13 right of first refusal.
Yes, so Ron Bober is a gentleman that owns a hangar here. He is selling his hangar to Dana Pyle, who is his neighbor, hangar neighbor. They have hangars next to each other. Dana's airline pilot, he's got multiple planes here in multiple different hangars, and he needs more space. The sale is for $85,000, and it would be effective January 1st. So if that's okay with the board. The city, we do not have money to purchase the hangar. We would just put somebody in there that has an airplane anyways, and Dana's got multiple here, so I don't think there's any reason that the board would want to purchase this and take it away
That's
from.
fine, I make the motion that we waive our right of first refusal, so.
Second. All those in favor, say aye. Motion carries, thank you. Claims docket. Everybody get a chance to see the claims docket for $13,274.74.
I do.
It's on the back side. My printer has decided to print on both sides now. So fun.
Is there a motion to approve the claims docket?
Motion to approve the claims docket.
Is there a
I
second?
second the motion.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries, thank you for approving that. Correspondence, any correspondence?
No correspondence.
Public comment? Paul, you have anything, any updates, anything you want to share?
Just two quick things. Number one, and I know I've said this before, and I wasn't here when the stuff happened, but if there's any way, as long as we're sure there's no possible way to do the extension to the north, it would just be so much easier and tens of millions of dollars cheaper. But people have changed since 2020 or whenever that was done. So
But the sedge plants haven't.
well, maybe
The what do you call it, the activists.
Yeah.
the sedge
We have endangered sedgegrass. We have the most diverse selection of trees anywhere in North America. We have a salmonoid stream. We have all those environmental things unmitigatable.
Yeah.
I don't think that's changed, but I agree.
You know, should the game change significantly? Sure, Paul. I mean, we want to build 5,000 feet. I really don't care where we build it. It'd be neat to build a bridge, but if we don't have to build a bridge, I'm all in favor. I just want to get this airport 5,000 feet.
That will cut the cost down considerably.
Oh yeah. Well, it depends on what you have to do to go to
Mitigation.
The mitigation.
Right now.
More than 35 million.
You have to mitigate.
Yeah.
Right now, it's an infinity sign with a dollar sign, so they don't. But
So I just, my good conscience makes me mention that. So that's number one. Number two, I've been reporting on the upcoming transition to unleaded fuel for many months here. It has gone on sale at Reed Hillview Airport in San Jose, California for the first time ever.
Yay!
So it's, like most things, it'll start there and move its way east.
How much?
Pricing was similar to, it was like 20 cents more than $100.
So hopefully get that new fuel for them.
Yeah, so that's way, which would be great.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Any other public comments?
Oh, you want to speak about the change of administration with the hangars, the type of hangars? That's fine.
I mean, it's.
It's important for us.
And your fun little thing in June? We've got lots more to talk about, Paul. You're not done.
Right. I personally have taken over, my real estate company has taken over as the property manager for the North T hangars.
Taggart.
Taggart hangars. So that's number one. I'm hoping to make some improvements there.
Good, congratulations.
Oh, thanks. Number two, as treasurer of the Michigan City Aviators Club, we are planning a event in June called the Michigan City Beach Weekend Fly-In. The goal is to get people from all over to fly into Michigan City for a long weekend, spend time at the beach, spend time at the casino, the breweries, wineries, try and bring in some people from out of town and enjoy Michigan City. So it's in the early planning stages, but we're planning June 20th or 27th.
So the cool thing is, everybody's gonna camp, right?
It's a camp out. Well, it's a camp out with an option. Jessica had a good idea to get a hotel lined up because not everybody might want to camp. One of my thoughts on this is a lot of fly-ins are just, the pilots go fly in somewhere. This would be a good one for whole families. And if you're bringing the whole family, maybe everyone doesn't want to camp out under the airplane or in the grass. So the idea is to have an option for camping or staying in a local hotel, like one of the neighborhood
With some
hotels.
sort of rate.
Yeah, the hotel there would, shuttle.
Yeah, so we find a way to make that all easy. And then use it as an opportunity for people who are going to Oshkosh to test out their camping situation here. It's like 3 weeks before Oshkosh, so it's a good
That's a good idea.
set up for it. So, yeah. That's the plan.
Excellent. All right. Thank you.
Yeah, just come on.
That completes all the items on the agenda. I'd like to thank everyone for attending. If there's no other further questions or comments, I'd like to request a motion.
Make a motion that we approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Thanks, Will, for
To do.
I'll sign it. Really? Thank you.